Anthropic has released Claude Opus 4.7, and I told you on Tuesday it was coming, and it is finally here for us. So in today's show, I'm going to take this one story, but I'm going to pull it apart in three different ways. The first is, okay, what has actually changed for us with this particular model? The second is whether the benchmarks and the data is actual reality, or if it's just a little bit of marketing. And then the bit that I find that almost every single article is kind of burying is that the same work that you were doing previously now costs you less money starting today. If you don't know who I am, my name's Gavin. I'm the founder of Ideal and Digital. And what I do is I go into businesses and help them adopt and embed AI within their business and marketing functions. I also do the Daily Dose, which is a daily AI show to keep you guys up to date with what's happening in the world and what it means for you and your work. So let's jump on into the first part of today's presentation. What has actually changed with Opus 4.7? Well, what we know is that this is their most capable public model to date. We know that Claude Mythos is hanging around in the background, but that's not available to us just yet. And with Project Glasswing in full swing at the moment, we still have to wait and see what's coming of that at the moment. But for this particular model, we know that you are now able to hand over harder coding tasks to it, and it's going to be able to handle them without you having to babysit them too much. So I'm talking those complex multi-step workflows. You're going to get a better output as a result. The next thing is that it's going to follow your instructions a lot better than it used to without kind of freestyling. So if you're going to say, right, I'd like the output to be in JSON, it's going to follow that instruction more reliably than previous before. The next thing, and I think this is a big upgrade, is that it's going to verify and loop through the output before it hands back control to you. And if you're doing real work with that, I think that's a huge upgrade to this particular model too. Another one is it's had a bit of an upgrade when it comes to its vision side of things. And what that means is it can now read images up to 2,576 pixels on the long edge image resolution. And for you, you're probably saying, well, what does that mean? In practical terms, if you're screenshotting a detailed Excel sheet, a bunch of data, a contract, maybe some diagrams, it's going to be able to see that in more detail than ever before. And then finally, and I think this comes without saying, is you're going to get a creative quality lift. And from Anthropic, what they have said is that the model has a more tasteful and creative when completing professional tasks, producing high quality interfaces, slides and docs. So the same prompts you were using before is going to give you a much better output. And next up, from a pricing point of view, you're still getting the $5 per million input tokens to the $25 per million output tokens. So that's the same as it was previously with Opus 4.6. You've kind of got an upgrade for free, especially if you're using the API side of things. But if you want to know what to do practically this week, I would say go to Claude, open it up, make sure you've checked that you're using Opus 4.7, and then throw it a piece of work that used to really frustrate you. Maybe it was a previous prompt where you weren't getting the output that you wanted. You had to really kind of step prompt it, keep giving it feedback to get what you wanted. Try that with Opus 4.7 and see if you've had a quality lift as a result with this new model. Okay, now onto the next part. With every new model drop, the same thing happens. You get a bunch of screenshots of all these benchmark pieces of data. You often get like blue bars beating yellow bars, and you're kind of looking at it going, what does that mean? I have no idea. So I'm going to kind of talk about these numbers, and then I'm going to translate that into what that means practically for you and your work. So on the SWE-Bench Pro, which tests how well models resolve kind of real software bugs, these are the particular data points. I won't go through all of them, but you can clearly see that Opus 4.7 is better than all of these other ones here too. We then also have on the general graduate level reasoning side of things, every single frontier model is now within 0.2% points of each other. And those bigger labs that we know, they've all hit the ceiling on general knowledge. It was bound to happen. But what's really going to separate them now is who gets the long, messy, multi-step work done without kind of losing the plot, without it kind of going off-piste. And with the data that's coming through here with Opus 4.7 and how it can handle better complex multi-step workflows, Claude is kind of in the running for this particular one. So from a practical point of view, I would definitely say that these benchmark totals, they do tell you something. It's better than this one, it's better than that one, but you don't know that for how it works for you and your team. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is take it into your real work and do a comparison test. So take 3 prompts that you've been using, maybe the ones that you use on a weekly basis, those really annoying ones, the really tricky ones, feed that into 4.6, get the output. do the exact same thing and feed it into 4.7, get the output, and literally just compare them and make your own mind up on whether these particular models are good for you. And then finally, over to the third part of today's story. And this is kind of what every write-up is kind of buried in the launch itself, but the price on the box as we know it has not changed. But in the real use cases here, the exact same work is going to cost you less. Let me explain. So Box, the cloud storage company, they ran their own evaluations on Opus 4.7 before the launch. Lucky then, they had early access. And their head of AI said that the new model cut model calls by 56%, it cut tool calls by 50%, and it responded 24% faster. And it used 30% fewer of what they called AI units for this same outcome. So a third of the compute completely gone for the work that is already much higher in quality. We then also had an early tester here, Hex, who basically said the low effort Opus 4.7 is about the same as the medium effort Opus 4.6. So the cheapest setting on the new model does the work that the middle setting of the previous model used to do. So if you're running automations, if you're running workflows in the background, like agent tasks, SOPs, client updates, all this data analysis, you just got kind of a stealth price cut. So for the everyday user, this is going to kind of play out in two ways, in my opinion. If you're on the Claude Max, the $100 per month account, you now get auto mode in Claude Code, and you get 3 free ultra review passes thrown in to that particular plan, which means you get more value for the same price. On the other side, if your team is now running Claude on the API, go and have a look at your token bill in like 2 weeks or so. It might have come down for the same quality of work, or you're getting higher quality of work and the bill has stayed the same. Definitely worth checking out in about 2 weeks' time and seeing if that plays out in the right way. So from a practical point of view, I would definitely go in and do a little bit of an audit of your prompts and your skill files, because as we know, Claude 4.7 is going to follow your instructions more literally now. So if you were relying on it to interpret or loosely interpret what you wanted, you may need to go and tighten that up a little bit more, because the exact words you give it is going to matter more than it previously did before. And that's it for today's show. Hopefully you found that really useful. You're able to use that in practical terms. If this helped, do consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and what you thought. And if you want to see anything else, do let me know and ask questions. Thanks again. Have a good one. See you soon.